are now about to witness the awesome, crushing might of Knuckle Up! I teased it too long. That's okay. Popeye doesn't care. The gun doesn't care. Stigmata doesn't care. This is called All of Nothing, by the way, by a band called Stigmata. You can buy their CD still. Revelation Records. Look it up. Technically, I'm not supposed to be talking. I let the intro play longer now. Welcome to Knuckle Up. This is round number 211. Well, all right, let me check it. I'm not quite sure. I'll let the music come in and entertain you. This is round number 211. I was right. And I got an interview coming up right at the beginning of the hour. No guesswork. I got to keep an eye on the time. In 11 minutes. I got to let this play. I'm sorry. I love it. My way back to nowhere. I'm taking a real good look at you. I'm taking a real good look at your face. Being paid back in full, always nothing. Okay. What is that friend of mine used to say? I'd like to listen to your show, but all you talk about is money. You'll note that I haven't had any impassioned pleas for money for quite a while. Have you noticed that? Not for a long time. I haven't said go to combatmusicradio.com and scroll down to pay your pals. I haven't said that. You know. I haven't said knuckleup77 at yahoo.com, send money. I haven't said that. I got a relationship with money. Like that gambler I said who said that most people's problems, they're afraid of money. You know, I'm afraid of money. But and much like other things that I don't like Prince said, I just make believe it doesn't exist until I need it. I got a distributor, Steve, at Subterranean Records. He never sees me. He sees me maybe once every 3 years. And you know what happens with Steve? He gives me money every time I go by. Because I never go by. And he knows if I show up to ask for money, CDs of mine that he sold in records, that I really need it. So he pays me, not a question, not a single question. Here's your check. Here's your cash, whatever. Here's your money. So the fact that I haven't asked doesn't mean that I haven't needed it. The fact that I'm asking now means I really need it. So scroll down, combatmusicradio.com. This is PayPal. Pay your pals. That goes to Combat Music Radio in general, of which, as far as I know, there are only 3 active shows left. So if you've been an ardent listener, you've only got 3 days a week to listen to something. It's me, Ben Sizemore, and who's a big cat? Big Joe Preston. Enjoy it while you can.
There's stuff in my team. If anything should happen to my son, if they should get hit by a bus, or get struck by lightning, or trip and fall down a flight of stairs, I would have to take my revenge on all of you.
That was my Marlon Brando. Today is a happy day. Sports agent extraordinaire Salvatore Russo has been texting me all day. He is so happy because Facebook lost $10 billion today after their initial public offering. You know? All those Facebook millionaires, those 23-year-olds that were going to be clogging up the coffee shops in Palo Alto, talking about monetizing their click-throughs, you know, and bundling Twitter with their Reddit page. God, we hate you. You know, yeah, you expect to make $1 billion off of nothing. No, yeah, huh? It's like if you went to a party and people started charging for the party. Yeah, I don't mind rent parties, you know. But not if the guy's living in a mansion. Kim.com, living in a mansion. I got an article on him that I've been sitting around trying to read, and I can't because I can't get past the first paragraph because I get enraged. Anyway, this is round number 211. I'm your host, EUGENE S. Robinson. The show is called Knuckle Up. I've done 211 of these things, more if you count the times I appeared on Scott Kelly's show, and we're here to talk about MMA. And there was just a big fight, the conclusion of the Strikeforce Grand Prix. You remember we covered the first part of it, where Fedor was still in it. You know, 8-man, it was a 10-man tournament. We lost Alistair Overeem. It ended up with the Grand Prix winner, Daniel Cormier versus Josh Barnett. I don't remember who my picks were. Somebody listening could remind me. I don't want to go back and listen to it again. And this is not a spoiler. If you haven't been paying attention, you don't know this. You probably don't care enough to have listened this far. But Josh Barnett, probably one of the most significant names who reps catch wrestling, looked like shit. Said he broke his hand the first round in a hook to Cormier's head. He broke his hand, and that's, you know, it hurt. I understand that. You know, usually I need to go back and watch tape. Usually a guy does something, there's a tell, like with poker, there's a tell. A guy will shake his hand a little bit, you know, right after he does it, you know, you see him maybe putting a bag of ice on it between rounds. None of that. Anyway, the fight was interesting. I mean, Friends of Knuckle Up. I've had both Josh Thompson and Gil Melendez on this show. They're both Friends of Knuckle Up. When Friends of Knuckle Up go against other Friends of Knuckle Up, it gets very strange. This fight was no different. Mike Kyle versus Fei Zhao, who's training with Team Sorrel. So it was an interesting fight. We're going to get to it in a few seconds. Right now, I've got coming up. Hold on. Do this for you. I have coming up Sam the Ram Spangler. He's been on the show before. We'll have him come up in 4 minutes. I'll give you a little treat. He used to be my kid's coach, but he's got a career of his own as a fighter, and I'm gonna find you some bio stuff. You can listen to in the background. You can hear the plangent sounds of Stigmata off of Calling of the Just. Great band. And when I think of all the great bands that never made it, Indigo Zeros, Stigmata, I kind of wonder what the formula is. I think Oxbow has a key. Never go away. Never go away. You don't go away, I mean, at the very least, nobody can accuse you of quitting, you know. So Nick Diaz has been put on ice until February of 2013, while Overeem, who gets busted for steroids, has been allowed to fight in less time. And let's see, what do we got? CHAEL Sonnen is now legally cleared. Is now legally cleared to take steroids, which is sexy, isn't it? Nick Diaz is out. It's strange. It's strange. Something's happening. Something's happening here. What it is not exactly clear. I'm trying to find some stuff here. There's some stuff I'm gonna find some stuff for you about Sam Loran Spengler, who I have coming up now in 3 minutes. But there's some news that just came over the transom. Let's see. What is this? But now, Strikeforce heavyweight roster rival, perhaps even surpassed at the UFC's. Cormier, the matchup was good. Yep. He rode through Barnett. And as of now, it is not difficult to visualize Cormier beating anyone in the UFC outside of the big three of Dos Santos, Velasquez, and Overeem. Unfortunately, the term +1 might keep us from finding out whether that is true until 2013. They're concerned about his brittle hands. Instead, it is the fine print in Cormier's Strikeforce contract that promises one more fight to Showtime after the conclusion of the Grand Prix. Alright, so what? In Cormier's case, it means he could be locked into a meaningless fight and an anticlimactic conclusion to his Strikeforce career. No, you guys are being negative unnecessarily. There are good matchups for him left in Strikeforce. Strikeforce is dead man walking, but not that dead and not that walking. Okay, so here we go. Sam Spengler. Here you go. Sam the Ram Spengler, who's coming up in like a minute. Now, what time is it? Actually, it's 2:30. We have to call him right now. But let me give you a little background. 5'11", fights at 185 pounds, trains with Kung Lee. That's 83 kilos for those of you in Europe who are listening. And 5'11" is about 180 centimeters tall. I don't know what any of that means. He's had 5 wins, 2 losses. 2 of his wins are by knockout or TKO, 0 submissions, 3 decisions. His 2 losses came as a result of knockouts at TKO. He lost to Seth Kleinbeck and Joey Armstrong, but he beat Mike McGuinness, Frank McGallen, Xavier McKay, John Pop, Adam McRae. So he's put together kind of a nice routine. Let's get him on the air now. I'm going to have to turn this music way down. And let's be patient here. Let's try to do this the way that makes the most amount of sense without Popeye snoring. This article in the BBC, Why Black Americans Don't Swim. I swim. So here we go. Something about they don't want to mess up their hair, if you can believe that. Okay. Are you ready? Okay. Okay, actually, you know what? Let me turn this music down completely. I'm sorry the show was disjointed. It was early on. But I got a lot of things I'm juggling. You know this already. There was going to be a mobile show. It was going to be not a Knuckle Up mobile today. But here we go. Call. Can you hear it? Sam! Hey, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're very faint, but I can hear you.
Okay, you don't sound like an earpiece right now? I don't know. Usually it's pretty good, but...
No. I turned the volume up on my phone. We got it. So, hey, thank you for coming. You are live now. Thank you for coming back to Knuckle Up, sir. I am honored to have you on.
And thank you for having me. Honored to be here.
So now you have, there's a convergence. Oxbow, my band, is playing June 2nd at the Scion Festival in Tampa. So we are going to miss your fight June 2nd, but tell us a little bit about your fight.
Yeah, I have my second Dragon House fight coming up in the last 3 months. My first one was in February, and I'll be fighting James Chaney. He's out of East Oakland. He's a 24-year-old. He is a submission specialist. He's mostly a jiu-jitsu guy. He's a tough guy. His wrestling's pretty decent. His stand-up's okay. And I'm looking forward to the challenge.
Well, you know, I've been interested at Peru. You won your last fight as well, didn't you?
I did.
Yeah. I was interested to discover that most of your wins have come as a result of knockouts or TKOs.
The two previous that did come TKO. This last one was a unanimous decision.
Which is strange, though, because your first combat sport is wrestling. Am I wrong?
True, it is wrestling, and mostly I do a lot of ground and pound, take them down, and then get my TKOs from there most of the time from the striking. But I've been working a ton of kickboxing, so my stand-up has been improving well.
So how does that? I found that after watching Cormier this past weekend, I found that strange that somebody. I mean, is the idea at the point where you're as accomplished of a wrestler as you are, is the idea that this is just a nice big stick to have in your back pocket, and that you're going to work on everything else, or does it not enter your mind?
Absolutely, it does, and it depends on who I'm fighting. Also, last time I fought a Muay Thai specialist, and my plan was to take him down when the opportunity presented itself. That was the number one thing I wanted to do, but my stand-up game, I knew would be able to hold its own against his, which it did, and I used that to my advantage. And if I go with someone I don't want it to go to the ground with, I can definitely use my solid wrestling in order to keep it standing. So it definitely works in order for me to keep the fight and put the fight where I want it to be.
Right. Well, which is what I've noticed. It tends to happen. Now you got to refresh my memory, and I should know this. I'm sure I've forgotten. You wrestled. You're a California native? No. What state did you come from?
I'm from Montana. I wrestled since I was 6 years old there, through high school there, and then moved out here right after college. I actually went to wrestling in college. And I played football instead in college, and then came here. And then as soon as I came out here after college, 12 years ago, I began wrestling again in freestyle open tournaments and competitions.
And when did you make the jump to Sancho?
I made a jump to Sancho in 2003 at West Valley College for about a year, and then I wanted to be more competitive after doing several smokers. So I went with Kung Lee in 2004, a year later, and then at the time, there was no, the MMA wasn't mainstream as far as legalized many places. So it was all Sancho kickboxing fights. It was all amateur kickboxing fights. Is what I did for competition for a few years, and then in 2006 is when the MMA really exploded as far as becoming legalized in California and other states, and there was all kinds of organizations popping up at that time. And that's when I jumped into the MMA for the Sancho.
So the first time I met you, you had just started at Kung Lee's when I first met you then.
That's right, sir. Yeah.
That's right.
04, I believe.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So now, and where did you go to school in Montana?
So I went to Carroll College. It's a private NAIA school in Helena, Montana.
Yep, I've been there.
College. Yeah, 4-year school, and then I moved directly from there straight out to here.
Ah, okay. All right, so now this Dragon House fight. Now this is your second or third Dragon House fight?
This is my second Dragon House fight.
Okay, it seems like it's a pretty good organization, right? This is up at Kezar?
It is. Yeah, I like it. They treat me well, and I do like the organization. Obviously, it's based out of San Francisco and fights around the Bay Area, which is convenient for myself and my family, getting people to the fights, and make that side of it a lot easier for me. So I do like that fact that it's close. Well.
So now, do you have? I mean, in terms of career planning, what is it? Because I've been seeing you at some of the fights that I've been doing, like Jiu-Jitsu by the Bay, and I know you're doing some of the grappling things. What is your? Have you sent feelers out to the UFC? What's going? Or is Kung doing that stuff for you? Or how's that working?
Well, Eugene, honestly, I love to compete. So I love to compete at what I'm good at, which is wrestling and now jiu-jitsu and all these other combative types of martial arts sports. And so I'm just doing get out there to compete for one, and then also to improve my game for two. And then as far as competing in a higher up organization like the UFC or Strike, and that'll come if it comes. But for right now, I'm just interested in getting out there and competing in mixed martial arts, and then in other martial arts such as jiu-jitsu, wrestling, competing with all that.
I love that. I love that attitude. I love that. I think that's great, man. It's motivated by a true love of the form and the art. I think that's pretty cool.
Absolutely.
All right, so now you got your fight coming up June 2nd. It'll be in San Francisco at Kezar.
Actually, no, the last February is in Kezar. This will be at the Oakland Marriott City Center. The Marriott in Oakland. So they changed it up. I believe this is the first time Dragon House has been out of San Francisco, to my knowledge. So, yeah.
Okay. All right. This is cool. So for those of you who are listening, we're going to be in the Bay Area. I know a lot of you guys are East Bay anyway. At least Ben Sizemore is. You might want to go on by and check it out. And if you want to get a hold of Sam, check out his stuff. You got, Sam, you're on Facebook, right?
Absolutely. You can look me up on Facebook, SAMSPENGLER. Send me, message me if you want tickets or anything else.
Hey, now, are you related to OSWALD Spengler?
No, Eugene, not that I know of, but there are a lot of Spenglers that I'm finding out more and more of in the Bay Area that I was not aware of. And Spengler's a German name, and I know that there's even these reunions and everything that I'm just finding out about every couple of years or so. So I'm thinking about doing some more digging to see who I am and who I'm not related to around here. So
that would be very cool. I mean, how far do you have to go back to find relatives who lived in Germany?
Not too far. My grandparents.
That's very cool. When did they get to America?
Just before they had my parents. So both of them. So this was 30s, late 30s, early 40s, World War II era.
Oh, so they got out just in time.
Just in time, for the World War II to begin.
Yeah, because if you had said 1947, I'd have looked at you with a jaundiced eye.
Yeah.
The offspring of escaped Nazis.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, not too far. And then it goes back from there. I'll do some more research to see, but that is an interesting point you brought up. So.
Yeah, interesting. Anyway, everybody, that was Sam the Ram Spengler. Check out his fight. It'll be in Oakland June 2nd. And we have to have you come back, sir, after your triumphant win.
I'd love it. Thank you so much for the time, Eugene,
We'll talk.
The time, and much appreciated like always, and we will be talking to you soon.
All right, man. Take care.
Okay, you too now.
All right, bye-bye. All right, everybody. So there you go. That was Sam the Ram Spengler, 5-2, looking to make it 6-2. Good attitude. Good attitude. You know what? I remember when I had on Jacob Banyan from Converge, and we're talking about the similarities between stuff in my teeth. Similarities between kind of MMA and early punk rock or hardcore, and a lot of communities, the sort of tribes with distinct languages and wide swathes of a variety of different classes. I mean, that's what was interesting. I mean, that's what's been interesting about very many American cultural movements, about how they have done what it's impossible in a lot of places to have happen. They've created avenues or venues for multiple classes to mix it up. And when people talk about multiculturalism in America and they talk about integration and diversity, you know, let's not trick yourselves for half a second. They're not talking about wanting to hang out with Negroes. That's all, you know, or, you know, let's have little Juan and come over for dinner. You know, they're going about hanging out with Latinos. People really, what they're really talking about is class diversity. Class is the big, dirty secret in America nobody wants to talk about. It's why the Republicans have been so successful with guys who drive rusty, you know, rusty pickup trucks. You know, why the oligarchs and the plutocrats have been able to convince, you know, the disenfranchised white folks that we're there for you, is because they speak a language of class. And the Democrats haven't figured that out. You know, I mean, Mitt Romney, his criticism of Obama was, I think he spent a little too much time at Harvard. And that, you know, they had that running on Fox for 2 or 3 days, and all the guys in rusty pickup trucks and, you know, in trailer parks can go, oh yeah, Harvard, huh? Well, you think you're better than me? Well, Mitt Romney was also at Harvard. Yeah. And he knows you and your rusty pickup truck are not going to remember that or notice or maybe even care. Because the Negro who went to Harvard thinks he's so much better than you. You're going to vote for that guy? Class is it. So, you know, MMA, punk rock, even the hippies before, to a lesser degree, because a lot of that stuff coalesced around college campuses where you took, you know, draft age men who did not want to participate in the war, decided to protest. But, you know, even then, these were fundamentally super effective because there was class mixing and threatening because of this, you know. Clearly threatening because of this. The Occupy movement, you know, there are lots of people turning out to the Occupy movement, but make no mistake, the Occupy movement is not class diverse, I don't believe. And I don't believe the Tea Party movement is class diverse either. I think American powers that be have figured out how to scuttle class diversity in a way that ultimately has the us and the them, you know. I got it. Let's cut a deal with the middle class. Like somebody said on the radio the other day, maybe it was Elizabeth Warren. How come nobody's talking about the lower class? You know? Because in the end, we could cut a deal with the middle class and go, look, okay. I know you don't want to get pushed out of this lifeboat, but somebody has got to get pushed out of the lifeboat. What about that guy over there? What's he do anyway? He's just a janitor. You know, you could do the janitorial stuff. We just get rid of him, and the boat will float better. And they push you. They push Pepe, the 65-year-old janitor, out of the fucking lifeboat. In any case, I digress. What was cool about MMA is class diversity and in a format that doesn't make you feel like you're slumming. You know, you're united in your love of the music. I mean, I remember at one point Pete Guy, whose father used to sing for the Coasters, you know, Yakety Yak and Don't Talk Back and Charlie Brown, and he was angry. And it's all these motherfuckers on the New York hardcore scene. They're all racist. You know, I said, man, these are the kids of construction workers. You know, the fact that they're here means whenever this ends, and it will end. You know, whenever this ends at some point, you know, they're going to be a little bit more informed than if they had stayed in Bay Ridge. You know, I don't mean that you got to be happy with somebody calling you a nigger. That's not what happened. Pete was a tough guy that broken somebody's face open. But, yeah, you know, it just means that, you know, you serve a better purpose by being here than fucking off. And eventually, as a result of selling stolen goods, Pete did have to fuck off, and he had to join the Marines. He was given a choice. This is what the middle class gets. He was given a choice for selling stolen goods. You go to 4 years in the Marines or 4 years in Attica. Your choice. Smart guy that he was, he took 4 years in the Marines. Of course, they shipped him over to Lebanon right before the military base bombing, but Pete was not killed in the bombing. Friends of his were, but and he continued. His life was very. When I saw him last, he was like, man, the Marines are great. And he told me about a record of mayhem and beatings and fist fights, and it was almost like hardcore. Except there were uniforms and yelling. Yeah, I guess there were uniforms in hardcore too, and yelling. So outside, I guess he got to carry guns. Or they got to carry guns in hardcore too. There was no difference. I guess they saw more shows and there were fewer women. Well, no, more shows with hardcore, fewer women in the Marines. Anyway, that was Sam the Ram Spangler. I noted about Sam, one of the first things, he's lost to a couple members of Team Sorrow in jiu-jitsu competitions. Chris Beebe, who has not been on the show, but Benji Silva, who has been on the show, both have beat him. But that's because wrestlers tend to cheat on the submissions because they go, you know what, I can hold my own on the ground, and then you end up not breathing. So, but anyway, I'm going to have to go in a few minutes, and I'm hating, you know, I think I'm going to go mobile. You know, in 12 minutes I got to go. But I think I'm just going to go mobile, which is going to be tough, since right now I got no shirt on, no shoes, which probably means I won't get any service. But I got to go mobile because I got stuff to do. And I got all this stuff on my skin because I'm concerned about malacesia fur. But anyway, I thought the fights were, you know, I'm a fight addict, so I'm okay with whatever crap they want to spoon out. But I thought the fights were, I don't really know what the word is that I'm looking for. I don't know. Underwhelming. Not underwhelming is not the word specifically that I'm looking for. Let me think about it. Let me think about it for a second. I think for the first time, I think what I'm trying to say is for the first time, I have smelled the whiff of death coming off of Strikeforce. The whiff of death. That's it. You know, I mean, you remember the Pride. Let me explain to you something a little bit different. Pride, the fight organization, not the personal quality. Pride was already in arrears by the time Dana White came along to purchase it. It was already screwed up. The ship was already sinking. It was a garbage scow being tugged behind a Yakuza tugboat. Came in, bought some of the assets, scuttled the promotion. Turi Altavilla, Facebook friend, left. I mean, Dream is kind of picked up where it left off, not with the same sort of intensity. WEC, which the UFC bought, John Lewis's promotion, was a catastrophe. Was a catastrophe, even with the influx of Affliction money. But the UFC did what the UFC do. They came in and they bought Affliction, and they bought WEC. These were relatively moribund organizations. So the transition was painless. Okay? Strikeforce was a thriving organization. It may not have been thriving in terms of a bottom line, but it was a thriving organization. But what we've seen is what is that great line from that movie City of the Dead? You know, there's one downstairs who's so sickly and dying, and one upstairs who's so young and full of blood. You know, you can't tell this movie with Boris Karloff whether this is a vampire movie, a horror movie, or whodunit. You don't know what, but I love that line. One upstairs who's so full of blood. That, in this instance, would be Dana White. You know, Strikeforce had a deal with Showtime, with CBS. Nothing extended into the future. It was all certain. And Scott, what the hell is the guy's name now? The guy who runs it. Scott Coker. Scott Coker you know, Scott Coker had deals with HP Pavilion, which is where the San Jose Sharks play. He had deals with them that were not entirely in perpetuity. These were not in perpetuity things. These were things that had terms, and then he was going to be left scrambling, you know, and Dana White shows up with his pumpkin carriage full of cash. You know, Cinderella would be hard-pressed not to take a ride, and that's what they did. But now, you know, how was that line from that song? Now that we found love, now that they found love, what are they going to do with it? What are they going to do with it? Well, they're going to drain it dry. Suck all the life out of it. And then, I mean, right now, the Grand Prix has just been this multi-year thing. I mean, I was in Jersey at the first one. You remember this. Reporting at Jersey from the first one when I was sitting amidst all the Russians who were starting to, who knew, you know, when Fedor were crying when Fedor lost to Bigfoot. Clubbed to death in the ring. This, you know, the signs of Overeem bowing out, Overeem going to UFC, UFC purchasing Strikeforce, and pretty much at that point, everybody on Strikeforce wanting to make the jump. Gil Melendez making big noise. I deserve to be fighting the best. This fight was a complete catastrophe. Gil had to spit on audience members to get out of the cage. People were trying to slap him. Carrie was there, his wife. She's great, by the way. She had to shove an erstwhile fan in the face to get him off of Gil. People were booing. Gil, even before, said, this is a lose-lose proposition for me. You know, it wasn't lose-lose in one scenario. It wasn't lose-lose if you had come in and completely dominated Josh Thompson, but that's not what happened. That's definitely not what happened. And as a result, I mean, Josh, you knew Josh, like I said last week, Josh was going to come in and fight for his life because he was fighting for his life. He was fighting for his professional life. Whatever happened between Josh and you, look, you know what? You know what the big secret is? Tell you, despite them being plutocrats, the guys in the UFC are lefties. And I don't mean they write with their left hands. I know Bruce Buffer is dyed-in-the-wool Democrat. I don't know about Dana's political sympathies. You got to get into bed with everybody. And, of course, the UFC is appearing on Fox, so these guys are not going to be incredibly public about that. But something happened. Something happened. Why would Josh Thompson suddenly go from fighting in the UFC to not fighting in the UFC, not even coming off of a loss? Well, he did. He got beat by Eve Edwards, which is funny because Eve Edwards called his shot. Said, I'm going to knock him out at a press conference. Even before, Josh was saying, I'll fight you at the press conference. Josh is a self-promoter, but he's also a raging Republican. Not that I care, but I'm just saying, you know. So what he did is, Gil had been number 2 or number 3 in lightweight rankings. He's dropped to number 4. But, you know, the cloud signs that had emerged when he fought George Masvidal with a broken hand, eked out a split decision over George Masvidal, a guy who fought 5 rounds with a broken hand. I love George Masvidal, friend of Knuckle Up, lived in his car, not going back. You know, poverty, I see these, I grew up with rich people, rich kids. And I have to tell you something. The guys from the lower classes, the working classes who make it, like my high school friend Pishko, poverty is a great motivator. A great motivator. You live in your car once, you probably don't want to live in your car again. I used to live in a van. A drag. It was a drag, man. Pissing in plastic containers and freezing every night was a drag. Of course, maybe if I'd have insulated the van, I wouldn't have froze every night. Still, a van is steel and carpet. You know, it's cold. You know, plus you get roasted. Nobody wants you sleeping in their parking lots. It's creepy. That guy in that sky blue van, like some girlfriend was like, you need to bust out. You need to be free. You need to go and do it. You know, you need to be a man about this. I go, that's real sexy. Everybody loves a boyfriend who lives in a car. Where's your boyfriend? Oh, he's in front of the house in his convertment. Where does he live? Curbside? Come on, baby, a wonderful candlelight dinner. Well, not candlelight, but dome light. You know, the dome light in the car. Could you crack the door a bit so we got light? Not sexy. Poverty is killer. So, in any case, I digress. You know, Josh Thompson showed that maybe Gil is not number 2, number 3. Also, it's put Gil in a position where he is not going to be able to he will not. I seriously doubt that he'll fight again in Strikeforce. They've got nobody for him there. But his fight, he's not gonna. They're not gonna back the truck up for him in the UFC like they would have, not based on his past performance. As well as he's going to get thrown to the lions. He's not going to get an easy one. Frankie Edgar gets a rematch with Benson Henderson. You know, Gray Maynard is in the wings. It'll be one of those. Whoever loses Henderson and Edgar will fight. If Edgar loses again, he will not fight Gray Maynard a 4th time. You know, so it'll be up to Gil. Gil will have to fight one of these guys. One of those guys have to crawl over him, or maybe they'll just give Gil Benson Henderson again, or Benson Henderson. Period. Not again. Tough fight. Tough fight. You know, Gil's a friend of Knuckle Up. You know, and I am a known and well documented nut jumper. I really like Gil, but this fight was close, and I don't think the judging was deficient. If it were up to me, I would have called this fight a draw and sent everybody home. And about this, I am not joking. You know, so I mean, you know, he knew. The only way that could have happened, he said, it's a lose-lose for me no matter what. The only way that could have not been a lose-lose for him is if he had come out and just blown the doors off of Josh Thompson. Blown the doors off it. There's no reason he couldn't have. But the point that he was trying to make and that Josh was trying to make, who ultimately wasn't unhappy because the audience voted with their boos and their spit, was that I deserve to be there. I deserve to be in the UFC. Now, whatever he did to get booted from the UFC, you know, having people in San Jose, a non-capacity crowd in San Jose cheer for him is not going to get him there. But I don't know. Mike Kyle took a pasting from Rafael Fajal. They lost to one. Maybe there'll be a rubber match. Don't know that's necessary. Also slowing, you know, Mike Kyle's entry into the UFC. If that's, let me be clear. Nobody wants to stay at Strikeforce. Strikeforce has become a de facto farm team, and guys want to get up and out of there as soon as fucking possible with the resultant payday. Friend of Knuckle Up, James Terry, fought on the opening card. I still haven't seen his fight. I know he lost, but I don't know what that means until I see the fight. Nick Diaz, apparently out until February 2013, which I do not like, since Overeem, who was busted for steroids, was in sooner. He was covered by a California cannabis club. Apparently, much like Al Capone, Nick Diaz is being penalized because he did not list on his application that he was taking marijuana as medication. You know, Chael Sonnen has been cleared to take testosterone because it's been recommended by his doctor for testosterone replacement therapy. The idea being that, you know, a fighter under the age of 40, his testosterone is low. There's no such thing as low. Very few people have that as a medical condition. 40-year-old men are not supposed to have high testosterone unless they're freaks of nature. And there are not many of us around. Not many of us like that around. You don't see me getting testosterone replacement therapy, do you? No, you don't see me getting that. You know, so to say, oh, Chael Sonnen has a medical condition because his testosterone is low for a man at 38, it's not low. It's completely consistent with men at 38. What pool are you choosing from? Go to Home Depot, look at a lot of 38-year-old men. These are, you know, yeah, he's perfectly in keeping. What he's saying is, I want my testosterone to be that of a 22-year-old. That, yeah, you know, I'd like my legs to be made of iron. So I have come all the way around the block on Chael Sonnen. I love this guy, despite the fact that he's a repressed homosexual and a Republican, which is like saying the same thing twice. But he's going to get killed. He's going to get killed against Anderson Silva, and deservedly so. This will be his biggest payday ever. If he's lucky, he'll never have to work again. He's a smart guy, even with the federal rap he just beat. Anyway, I got to go. Strikeforce, thumbs up, thumbs down. What do you say? I give it a thumb right in the middle, which is very different from that. That middle. Different from that middle. Different. It's sad to see something die. Cormier beat Josh Barnett, and Josh Barnett had that Jake Shields skill of making, like Jake Shields made George St. Pierre look terrible. Josh Barnett made Daniel Cormier look terrible. I don't know that anybody can say honestly and with a straight face that Shane Carwin and Daniel Cormier is going to be a fight that's going to excite people. But then again, you know, whatever happened to Shane? He lost to Brock Lesnar, and his head went. His head disappeared. Disappeared. Sad day. I don't know. Guy, I mean, part of this game, part of it's the mind, the powers of the mind. That's why I'm not taking testosterone replacement therapy. You know? Because I'm a lunatic. That's why. You know, I'm a total complete lunatic. My will is driving me. I got beaten up today badly. I know my ears are feeling weird too. My ears are feeling weird. I'm icing them because I don't want cauliflower ears. I have no need to tell people that I'm a fighter or have them look fighter-esque, you know. Anyway, I'm looking at a million different things now. Look at that, H.P. Lovecraft. Yeah, this shit encourages, computers and phones encourage ADD. Anyway, we heard from Sam the Ram Spengler. Has got his fight coming up in Oakland. Check him out. Check him out on ShareDog or on Facebook, Sam Spengler, like Oswald. So you got kind of nervous when I started talking about Nazis, right? You know. Where you going with this, Eugene? Don't do this to me. I should have got him in a light version of what Deutschland über alles. What was that song? There's a song that the Germans used to sing. This is a popular ditty. I'm reading in the Garden of Beast about the American diplomat who was assigned to Berlin in 1933, and apparently there was a very popular song in Germany at the time, and the title of it in English was "When Jewish Blood Spurts from My Knife." It's funny. Ooh, it seems incredible. That was, I guess, like a Christmas song. Nobody in America took him seriously. What's the first thing you're going to do when you become chancellor? Kill all the Jews? Oh, that guy. Oh. Here's our new national anthem. When Jewish blood spurts from my knife. They're just joking. What the Nazis say, when people do the unbelievable, what happens? Nobody tends to believe it. You know what? I'm not ending the show this week with the bell because I'm starting to get deaf in this ear. So here, I'm going to use a computer bell to end the show, which is not nearly as dramatic, but, you know, what do you care? Here, ready? Thank you for listening to Knuckle Up. This is round number 211. I'm your host, Eugene Robinson. We'll see you next week. Hey, what do you want for nothing? A rubber biscuit? All right, their fight's coming up. Let me briefly cover the fights coming up so that this is not totally distressing. Round number 211. I need your money. Knuckle Up 77 at yahoo.com. I need it. Maybe your host has a crack problem. Maybe that's it. My TV show is not done yet. Maybe that's it. So coming up this weekend, we've got fights galore. We have what's this weekend is May 26th. This weekend, Dos Santos versus Mir. Let me call my shots right now, baby. You know what? Mir. I'm typically a Brazilian nut jumper, but I'm going for Mir on this one. I think the Brock Lesnar thing stuck in his craw. Cain Velasquez against Antonio Silva. Cain Velasquez, friend of Knuckle Up. I'm going for Cain Velasquez. Dave Herman against Roy Nelson. Rosario, who I like, against Stiff chick. I don't know. LeVar Johnson fighting again in as many weeks against Stefan Struve. He was a last-minute replacement for Mark Hunt. Struve is big. I don't know. CB Dollaway against Jason Miller. Edson Barbosa. These are all great fucking fights. Dwayne Ludwig against Dan Hardy. Dan Hardy, friend of Knuckle Up. Been on the show before. Mike Thomas Brown opening. And he's fighting Daniel Pineda. You see? Guys can rotate to the bottom. Mike Thomas Brown had been up on the top. Not anymore. So let's go through my picks. Mir, Velasquez. Let's round it out with 3. Stefan Struve will submit LeVar Johnson. So I guess that's 3 picks. I can't make an intelligent pick with Shane Del Rosario against Stiff Miocic because I don't know, and Dave Herman against Roy Nelson. I can make. You want me to make picks blindly? Because I can. Anyway, that's this weekend. It's in. I believe it's in Las Vegas. I don't care. I don't know, but I'm gonna watch it. Yeah, it is in Las Vegas. I should be in Las Vegas watching it, but you know what? It's only some fights that I'm willing to go to the mat for, and that's clearly what they make it. So I gotta go. You heard the show. This is round 211. Donate money, please. I need the cash. I'm your host, EUGENE S. Robinson. I hope you enjoyed it. Sam the Ram Spengler. Thanks for coming in. We'll see you later. That doesn't sound good. Okay. Next week. Bye.